Hello and welcome to my first video in quite a while. So this video is simply going to be a bit of a chat and a catch up to explain where I've been, what I've been doing in terms of my tarot practice and how that has changed, and some future plans for the channel. So let's get straight into it. But first, if you've been experimenting with your tarot practice or you've discovered something new and a way of working with the cards that's really resonating with you, do drop a comment below. And I forgot to mention, I have a really exciting update for you, so stick around to the end of the video to find out exactly what that is. Okay, so I didn't intend to take quite as much time out of YouTube as I did. I think it's been a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3. And this came about for a number of reasons. Firstly, as of the beginning of the year, I went back to a regular job, which meant that I have had less time to work on my YouTube channel. Secondly, I started to make a conscious decision, and I know a lot of people are feeling this as well, to kind of reduce screen time, bearing in mind the deck that I'm creating. I've been doing digitally, so I've been spending a lot of time looking at screens, and I think my eyes and my brain just needed a rest from screen time, which also included being on social media. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I've been very quiet over there as well. And to kind of replace that, I've been coming back to my creativity. So I've been doing a lot of drawing, a lot of kind of hands-on physical making art, which I think I needed to do, and I've really enjoyed doing. But this hasn't been separate from my tarot practice. It has continued to become embedded in how I work with the cards, and some of you will know that I've mentioned this in more recent videos, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on here. The third thing was that I was finding that becoming a tarot tuber was starting to become quite all-consuming. Maybe it's just the way my brain works, but I was finding that I was just not able to switch off, and I was just constantly thinking about the cards, the meanings, possible content ideas, and I think I just needed to give my brain a bit of a break. And when combined, these things were starting to cause me a bit of resistance when it came to actually uploading a video, a little bit of overwhelm perhaps. And I should say that I'm also aware that I started a course or a series looking into the meanings of the cards, and I was kind of struggling with the format of that, and I've worked out why that is, mostly because I think I was trying to make it too educational. So for those of you that don't know, my background is in teaching. I was an art teacher for 10 years, and I think I was just tapping into that world that I'd sort of left behind, just trying to make it too education-y, and I think I was starting to feel uncomfortable with that, because that's kind of not who I am anymore. I love sharing ideas, and I love talking about the tarot and the cards and oracle decks and all of that, but kind of I want it to be in a more fluid way, more as a facilitator rather than kind of teaching. And so I do intend to come back to that idea, but yeah, I was just really struggling with moving forward with that because it wasn't working for me, and then if it's not working for me, then the video isn't going to work for other people. So watch this space in terms of that idea. I was starting to get a bit frustrated with myself, thinking, come on, you've got to get back. People are, are going to be wondering where you are. And then an interesting thing happened. So I was reviewing my cards that I'd pulled for the year ahead spread, which I spoke about in another video, and I'll link. And I was quite astounding to see that the cards had pretty much predicted that there was going to be this downtime. So in April, which was kind of when I was really struggling, I had pulled 2 of challenges, which of course is the 2 of swords, for where I'd be at the beginning of the month, and then the suspension card, which is the Hanged Man, at the end of the month. And this really did reflect that sort of emotional state that I was in. So 2 of Swords is that kind of indecision, not being able to move forward, which is where I was absolutely out at, and for reasons that I've explained with the tarot course, I just felt incredibly stuck with it, and because of that I wasn't able to move forward, which then meant this idea of suspension. And I thought, yeah, I kind of need to take a step back. I need to reassess and reevaluate where I want to go with this. And interestingly, I realised actually today, whilst I was planning this video, there was another reason why Hanged Man energy has been quite important, because also at that point I was still working on my tarot deck, the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus, and I realised that actually a lot of the things I want to do with this channel I can't do until I have this deck completed, and so yeah, again, kind of I've been in this state of suspension and just holding out until the time is right to move forward. So that was April, and then in May, at the beginning of the month, I had the 6 of Boons, which is the 6 of Pentacles, which is normally this idea of giving and receiving. But if we look at this picture here, this woman is surrounded by bunnies, and then there were a couple of things unexpected things, like nothing bad, but kind of definitely put me in that state of needing to sort of step back and sort of find comfort. And again, it's almost similar to moving forwards from that sort of Hangman suspension card as well. So a continuation from April into May, and at the end of the May I had the Council of Animals, which is the judgment card traditionally. So these animals convene and you can ask them, or they might ask you, you know, are you fulfilling what you intended to do? And I think I definitely had that moment where, after this period of reflection and taking time out, I was ready to face this Council of Animals and think, right, yes, I think I'm ready to move forward now. And so here we are, beginning of June. This is the first weekend in June at the time of filming. So I then pulled subsequently for June at the beginning the 7 of Spells, followed by the 9 of Spells, and the spells in this deck are the cards of Wands, which both kind of indicate being ready for kind of a battle or a challenge. This one is the fact that we have gnomes who are described as being quite set in their ways in the guidebook to this deck, and then we have the young wyvern here who's kind of full of energy. He's different, which kind of brings me to something I didn't mention earlier with this resistance, is that I've had this desire to maybe go on a slightly unique and different approach to tarot tube creating, and the readings I've been doing have very much backed that up. And so on reflection, I realised that this wyvern is me, kind of wanting to maybe break the mold a little bit, and my perception is that if I do this, It might alienate some of the subscribers, maybe people that have found me through maybe some of my walkthroughs or some of the more traditional tarot tube type content. And I guess it's that fear that, yeah, people will lose interest and unsubscribe. And on reflection, I realised that that was just being silly, and actually it's when we take those risks and we put ourselves out there to do something different, that is when we grow the most. And as I said, the cards have certainly been encouraging me to embrace my uniqueness and actually to do more of that than to try and follow the mold of maybe what other people do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with people doing that type of content, and it's certainly useful, particularly all those wonderful people that do thorough walkthroughs. There is a space for that, but I've always known that I think I wanted to approach things differently, but I've just been a bit reticent to do it. I guess fear, it's that fear of failure, isn't it? And so that brings us to the 9 of spells, 9 of wands, where we've kind of realized what the challenge is and we've mentally prepared, and actually we have all of those things that we need. In this picture, she has cast a protective spell so she can move forward, and actually those perceived challenges that she might have, she can tackle them head on, but kind of with thought and with, I guess, compassion, but it's not coming from a place of fear, it's coming from a place of kind of acceptance and confidence. And yeah, so that's something that I've been making peace with. It's like, yes, now is the time to move forward with my plans for YouTube, which I will talk about a little bit later on in this video. And it's time to maybe reinvent the channel in a way that works for me, but hopefully will be beneficial for you, because I plan on sharing ways that I work with the cards that have been really kind of profound and meaningful, in the hope that you will find that useful too. So what have I actually been doing during this time of kind of hanged man suspension and kind of reflection? I have still been doing tarot readings. My practice has really evolved and changed this year. Those of you who've been with me for a while will know that last year was really a year of exploring and experimenting, and I was trying out different things month by month, different kind of themes, different types of sort of layouts and readings, different pairings, which I think I needed to do to get me to the point where I'm at. But this year has very much been about working with the moon phases. So my moonology decks have had a lot of time on my desk, and I've really reduced the amount of readings that I'm doing. So I went from trying to do kind of daily single card pulls, working with the Season of the Witch collection, to doing sort of weekly reflections. But I was finding that I was getting a little bit burnt out with that, and particularly when it came to doing the daily readings with the single card pull, it got to the point where I felt like it would just become a bit of a passive activity, whereas I was just pulling them, reading the card, but I wasn't really feeling anything. I wasn't finding that it was a beneficial practice for me, and this is not to say that if you enjoy doing that, that it's not a beneficial thing to do. It just wasn't working for me personally, and I sort of persevered with it for the whole of last year, and then for some reason I just stopped, and I realised that I needed to find another way to work with the cards. I do plan to make more in-depth videos about how I work with the moonology cards, but a very brief description. I'm doing 3 main readings a month, one at the new moon. This is part of the manifesting process, and working with energies that I need to be looking at to help manifest my goals, and that is working with my Moonology diary, which I spoke about probably in one of my previous videos. Then I am doing a full moon reading. That's really about looking at the aspects of letting go and surrendering. And then I'm doing a dark moon reading. Now, each of those readings, I am working with various deities. It's taken me a while to work out which deities I'm working with, but I think I've got it sorted now. And when I do these longer videos to explain each one individually, I will share more details with that and how that works. But here's where things are changing. So whereas before I was doing longer written assessments, if you like, of my readings, I'm still making a note of the cards, but I'm predominantly doing art journaling now, and I'm finding that I'm working on these images kind of throughout that lunar phase, so a couple of weeks, if you think you've got a couple of weeks between the new moon and the full moon. It does get a little bit tricky when you have the dark moon, which is directly before the new moon, but I make it work somehow. But I find by working on these images, it's helping me to understand the deeper meanings of those cards, and it's encouraging me to kind of remember. So I have the sort of brain where I'll absorb things very, very quickly and understand it completely at the time, but then after, I don't know, a day, that information just goes, I don't retain it. So as I've explained before, because I'm a visual person, working with my readings in a way that is more visual and practical, because I'm also quite a kinesthetic learner as well, I learn by doing, I'm finding that I'm retaining the meaning of the card or the messages of the cards for much longer, and it's a much more useful way of working with the cards for me. And if you are finding this, that you're doing the readings, but you're struggling to sort of connect with them on a deeper level, then do stick around for future videos, because I'm very keen and excited to share how this works. Even if you don't like art, I'm planning on sharing ways that people that maybe prefer to write can create this story, because what's happened is, whilst doing this, very clear kind of personal symbols are starting to crop up. And so what's happened is I'm utilizing imagery from the cards themselves, whether these are tarot or oracle cards, but also incorporating kind of characters and bits of artwork that I've been working on or creating over the last 10 or more years, from the world of Vaudeville Manor, which I think I've mentioned this before. This is kind of my portal into the shadows of the imagination, which brings me to the next thing, is that this, I have realised, has become my way of completing shadow work. I don't know if this is like the official way of doing shadow work, but this is how I've almost accidentally come to doing shadow work. And I mentioned that the cards have been very much guiding me to be my unique self, and so this video is kind of the first step of that, but the cards have also indicated that possibly one of my strengths and something that I should be sharing with people is how I've been doing this shadow work. These are other things that I plan to be exploring more on my channel. So again, if you like the sound of that, drop a thumbs up or drop a moon or something in the comments to say if this might resonate with you. And so the thing that I am most excited to share with you is that the one and only copy, a demo deck of the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus arrived yesterday. It arrived late and I'd been working yesterday, so I didn't want to do a live unboxing because, quite frankly, I was too excited to open it, and also I just wanted to sort of proof check it, and I have found a couple of mistakes, but this is another thing that I'm going to be sharing a lot more of on my channel. I mean, I've spent 4 years on this thing, so it's time to well, celebrate with you the work that's gone into this. But these are the backs, and I'll just flick through some of the cards whilst I'm talking. So as I said, there's one copy at the moment. This is my demo deck, and there is no book for this deck at the moment. The artwork has just taken an age to complete, but I'm super happy and proud with this. And the reason I ordered the deck was, as I said, I'd had a lot of screen time, and the thought of looking at these images on the screen to write the book, I just couldn't. So I've ordered the deck so I can play with the cards to help me write the book. Now, where I'm at with this is I'd love to do a colour book, you know, kind of rock pool style. But I just don't think I've got the funds to do that. And also I really want to get this deck out here sooner rather than later. And I think to create a book like that is going to take a lot of time. So my current plan is to do a little white book. And then I will probably do an extended book. So if you think of the Deviant Moon Tarot, kind of what Patrick Ventswala, I'm not sure if I've pronounced that right, has done, where I can do a bigger colour hard back book, where I can have a more in-depth meaning of each of the cards, but also talk about how the designs came about, my personal process. I'll include some of the earlier designs and maybe designs that didn't make the final cut, and really I really want to create a whole world around this. And I think to try, and even if I was to do a colour book kind of rock pool style, I don't think I can do that. And I've actually today just ordered the Deviant Moon book, so I can sort of look and see how he's done that, and hopefully use it as a bit of inspiration, because I've got the Deviant Moon at the beginning of the year and I absolutely love that deck. And I also feel like that deck is the closest thing I've found to sort of what I've created in terms of building a whole unique world around the tarot cards. So yeah, I am absolutely stoked. But do give me some feedback below, your thoughts to a little white book and a more extended book versus going straight with a nice colour book with the deck from the outset. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this, and of course I will use that to help me with what I ultimately decide. But either way, I'm kind of a long way off from writing the book. I have no idea how long this is going to take me to create, but I will update you as and when I can. And of course I will be making future videos all about my deck, the Tremendous Tuxedo Circus, to explain how it came about, how I've interpreted the cards, and really anything you might wish to know about that deck. As always, thank you so much for joining me today and hanging out and kind of finding out what I've been up to. I hope you are also evolving your own tarot journeys, and as I said, comment to explain where you're at with your card reading experience. I am super excited to be back, and I have lots to share, lots of ideas, so watch this space. Until the next time, here are a couple of other videos you may wish to check out, and sending you lots of love wherever you are, and I will see you very soon.